Hey guys, gals, and MPs. I'm here today with the Take 5 and the Sonicware Live-In Mega Synthesis. And we're going to have some real fun with it. I'm going to do something a little special or different that I've heard that the Take 5 can do, but I haven't heard a lot of people make patches like that. And I'm going to step outside of doing my ambient stuff on this one, and we're going to do some video game music because there's just so much ambient stuff out there on the web, but not a lot of video game stuff on like tutorials and things like that. I mean, yeah, sure in the DAW and stuff, but let's do something different. Let's make an FM style lead on the Take 5. And it's going to be really cool alongside the Mega Synthesis here. I'm going to make it in the style of the Ys games. It's pronounced Ys. Yeah, so kind of like Moog, or you know how that meme goes. Anyway, but yeah, so I'm going to use a built-in pattern on this. We're going to play along on this with a lead that we're going to make that is going to be an FM style lead. I can highly recommend the Mega Synthesis if you want to get into the Live-In boxes. It is probably one of the best value out of all of them because it has sampling capability. It has a full FM synth with a full overlay and stuff, so you can do full FM sounds on this. It has a programmable sound generator, which gives you those square wave style sounds of like portable consoles of the like early 90s, late 80s, and things like that. But yeah, let's just get started with it. So we're going to go ahead and make that patch. So let's do a clear here. And all right. And this is going to be a unison mono patch, and it is going to be like having a 10 oscillator mono synth because we're just going to stack oscillators and it will sound awesome. So I guess we could get started with the oscillator section. So let's turn on sync. Let's go ahead and turn on FM at the same time. We should get nothing, but if we turn this up, actually we're getting nothing. Oh, because we're synced. So let's turn this down an octave. Second oscillator goes down an octave. And we're going to keep this at 0, but we're going to turn the pitch up. And there we go. We kind of have an FM sound already. I turned up the release on the amp envelope. We're not going to bother about the filter. We're going to keep the filter at the default. We're going to turn up a little bit of drive on the filter, though. It's very subtle. Yeah, so pretty cool. Let's go ahead and change the shape of the oscillators. We want this to be a bit, the second oscillator to be between a sine and a the sawtooth, and we want this to be a square first oscillator. And now if we change the pitch of this one, we'll get some change. I like it right around there is perfect. And now oscillator 2's volume control is the FM depth basically. So like right around there is fantastic. We're still in poly mode. Let's go ahead and turn on unison and hold down the unison. We're going to make this 5 voices of unison, so it's our 10 oscillators. Yeah, really thick, really nice sounding. Let's add a little bit of glide to that. We're going to turn the glide on. We want to turn it to around there. We might adjust the glide a little bit once we start adding effects. I am going to tempo sync this. So we're going to clock sync the LFO to panning, and we're also going to clock sync the Bucket Brigade style delay on this thing, and that'll be pretty awesome. So to do that, let's go ahead and clock sync here. We're going to keep it the triangle waveform and go into source assign. And let's do, actually, we could just do this. We will go into destination. So we want to change that over to panning. The problem is panning is really funky when you use the mono mode and voice spread. So we're just going to use the LFO, and we're going to turn this quite a bit up. So let's turn this to like 95. We got to get some really good panning in there. turn the frequency because now we're clock synced. So the frequency is going to be a subdivision. Let's do 4 steps. I hope you're listening to this in stereo. Let's turn up the clock rate to 136 beats per minute. I think that's close enough to what this pattern is at because we're going to use pattern 7 here on the Mega Synthesis. The patterns here were programmed in by Yuzo Koshiro, who did soundtracks for like Streets of Rage and I believe the early Ys games. So it'll sound awesome. We're trying to get that Ys, I want to get that Ys 8 style, which is my favorite game out of the franchise, though the new one is pretty good, and I heard that the new one that is coming out soon, at least in the US, it's already out in Japan, is supposed to be pretty damn good too. But yeah, that'll be cool. Let's go ahead and turn on the BBD. So by default, the effect here in an init patch is already the BBD. Let's just change the time here. This now controls subdivisions when you have clock sync on. We want the depth and 50-50. We want a little bit of feedback, and that'll sound like this. A little less glide. A little less feedback. A little more drive. All right, it's up there. Let's turn up the octave. Whoops. All right, I'm going to cut here, and we're going to just go into it because I want to get the timing just right, so I have to get this going because I'm not clock syncing this, and I'll just cut into the song so it'll sound good versus me just having to get it up to time and me playing in time. So I'm going to try, but yeah, so you'll see me in a second. We'll just cut here, and then we'll go ahead and play. And yeah, we got our little FM patch here. Very simple patch. Sounds absolutely awesome on this. Oh, we are missing one thing. I just noticed something. I take it back. We want to go back to program here. And when you want to go to the Unison detune, and you want to turn this to 2 so it's even thicker. Ah, I knew we were missing something. There we go. I made some changes while I was playing around, and something didn't sound right. And the problem was this sync rate that I needed to be for this clock division to work would be 147 beats per minute. So for this patch to work with this, I could have just used MIDI. I should have just did that. And the time division is like right around here instead. And I did turn down the feedback just a little bit. But yeah, it sounds the same other than that. Yeah, so let me get back into it, and you'll see me right after the cut. Yeah, it's obviously my production quality is a little terrible in that case, but here you go. All right, yeah, a lot of fun. Awesome sounding patch. Sorry that I had to mess with the clock divisions a little bit. You really have to get that going. If you're going to sync this with something, and particularly the Liven FM here, I just use MIDI sync. I was doing it by ear. I was using tap tempo, and it was kind of I thought it was 136. 147 seems weird, but I don't know of a way to tell otherwise than to just get the tap tempos. They look about right. Kind of hard to tell, probably because I'm only filming this in 24 frames per second, but they look right to me. So I guess it's that, and maybe one of the subdivisions I have going just works out for that. I don't know. Either way, I could have like clock synced it. Next time I'll MIDI sync, or try to. It's kind of a pain in the ass to do so because this sends a bunch of MIDI data to this, so I'm going to have this listen on like some channel that this doesn't send out and only do clock syncing. I don't know if there's a way on just the Take 5 just to listen to clock information and not transport control, because I think transport control is Omni, isn't it? It's like on the Omni channel, so that might start the sequencer in this too, which I would have to clear out the sequencer. So you see where MIDI is kind of a pain in the ass for things like this. I guess we could sync. Does this have sync in? Because this has sync out, so maybe. Oh, I don't know. I'm just like trying to figure out what the best route of option when I'm going to use this in the future. Because I definitely am. This thing I've been using off camera so much lately. But yeah, you get a really cool just FM lead. And I hope that inspires somebody to use the Take 5 for something that you just don't generally hear, and that's an FM style or a Sega Genesis style like lead instrument, and it's an analog synth, and you can see why I love it so much, because obviously you've seen so many videos with me using the thing. I mean, if that's not enough, I use this off camera so much. Yeah, I know I was going to make a video on the Trigon, and I'm still going to make some videos on the Trigon. I love that synth, but it's out of the price range of most budgets, and it just isn't as flexible as the Take 5. I still love it because of that ladder filter, but damn, I can't wait for the TO5 to come in. I know a lot of you want to see me make a video with the TO5, and I can't wait. I heard that it should be sometime next week, I hope. Some people are already getting theirs. So yeah, that'll be coming up. Maybe I'll do some video game music with the TO5. Do you want to see more video game style music, less ambient stuff, or do you want to see the same amount with ambient stuff and video game stuff? I personally want to do video game stuff. That's why I bought the Mega Synthesis. It's a synth I bought myself. Even if I don't make a detailed video about it, it's something I wanted because obviously I'm a Sega fan, and I'm an Ys fan as well. Yeah, so it just turned out to be such a good synth. I can like I said, I could highly recommend this because this has sampling capabilities, FM and square wave capabilities, and quite a lot of polyphony on top of that. I don't know what the total polyphony is. It's quite a bit. I think it's like 6 at least just for the FM or something like that, and 4 for the square wave, and then like 3 or something for the PCM, all like together, and you can use that all at the same time. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's how that works. And yeah, and the fact you can sample into this in that 8-bit style, and it can emulate the 9-bit ladder DAC that's found in the Sega Genesis, at least like that first gen or something like that. First gen was really crunchy. I've had for a real first gen Genesis a long time ago, or like a Mega Drive. But yeah, they very crunchy output. This really does that well, and especially if you're going to feed some PCM samples in there then to re-crunch them. Maybe I'll do a video with this plus like the generation loss, and maybe we can sample into it and do something that this was never really intended for. I like it better than the Lo-Fi 12 actually for sampling, just because it has that real just awful crunch, but in such an aesthetic way. And the FM engine on this thing is fully editable with like, there's an overlay that came in the box, and you can do the full, it's a 4-operator FM synth, I believe. So yeah, just like the Sega Genesis or the Mega Drive, whatever region you're in. Yeah. All right. So I hope you like this video. If you like these kinds of videos, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and give me a thumbs up if you like this one in particular. All right. Bye.